What is up, my Sabronis? After a 2 week mini vacation where it wasn't really truly a vacation because, we're working, we're sleeping, we're doing everything every day, we are back with our podcast. Took some time off, took 2 weeks off, just prioritized getting some sleep. The kid is finally sleeping well. He is in a big boy bed. And so, you fall asleep next to him one of those nights on a night that you're supposed to get this done. Before you know it, you are waking up at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just going to bed. So prioritize getting some sleep. Obviously, if I could put all the time in the world into doing this, I would, but just not realistic. And I love doing this, and I want to do this, and I understand growing something like this is not going to happen by taking weeks off. And so it's not the plan, it's not the focal point going forward, but just the ability to do that because I can, and doing this right now as a hobby makes that easier to do. But missed a lot of great stuff. Missed a lot of crazy college football upsets. Missed a lot of really good games. Even things like I called last week, and you could talk to anybody that I talked to on a daily basis. I said Indiana was going to beat Oregon. Indiana goes into Oregon, beats them. So we're going to talk about all those things, to kind of talk about the things that we missed these last few weeks. But, just excited to do this on a beautiful Tuesday night again. Get this uploaded on a Wednesday morning for you guys. And right now I'm really just focusing on the audio part. I got some video for some clips to try to grow it on TikTok a little bit. But in reality, let's focus on the audio. This is what I know best. This is what I want to be able to focus on. And so if you are listening, I appreciate you. If you're listening on YouTube without the video, I appreciate you. I am grateful for anybody who gives this show a listen, a follow, a like, anything like that. So if you do love football, share this with somebody who also loves football and just help me continue to get the word out about what the Sabo Steering podcast is all about, all those great things. With that being said, let's get into some great football time. So in all reality, what a crazy turn of events these last few weeks for Penn State. You go in to having, being the number 3 team in the country, to having Oregon coming to your place and absolutely just blow an opportunity to win a big game. Another big game by James Franklin. They have a lead in overtime, or they have an opportunity in overtime to win it. Oregon goes in there, they win the game. Dan Lanning, it looks like he is, he's doing something crazy. A lot of energy, good, fun football game. Again, just another one that James Franklin just doesn't win. But he follows that up with losing to UCLA, 20-point, favorite. You go over there to UCLA, you lose, and then back-to-back weeks of 20-point losses, or being a 20-point favorite and losing this time to Northwestern. A game where, last week, as I got kind of this thing ready, I was like, okay, my lock of the week has to be Penn State beating Northwestern by the 21.5. You had lost 2 straight. There was no way they were going to, lose that game, let alone not cover. And Northwestern, they go into Happy Valley. They beat Penn State, and kind of until it was realistically, until it really happened on Sunday, you didn't really think it was realistic, but they did it. They pulled the trigger. They got rid of James Franklin. He is no longer the guy there. So who replaces him? I truly don't know. There's a lot of names going out there. Matt Rule, obviously the favorite. Everybody says how he's a Penn State guy. Familiar with kind of that area. Was at Temple for a long time before, the stop at wherever he was before being with the Panthers. Obviously he would go from Big Ten to Big Ten if he went from Nebraska to Penn State. It's an easy guess. It's an easy thought. People like Cignetti. People keep saying Cignetti. I don't know if Cignetti leaves Indiana. Everything that you read, you hear about Cignetti in Indiana says that Indiana gives everything he needs, everything he wants. The hot name is always going to be Brian Hartline, Alex Gesh. Names like that. My guess is Manny Diaz. He was really, really loved there when he was at DC. He's gone to Duke. He's done a really good job, replacing Elko with, what Duke has to offer. And I think that, what they need is somebody with a lot of energy, somebody who feels young, somebody who has been part of that Penn State culture. I think Manny Diaz is a good name for them. It's not the splash hire that they probably will, want to get, even though it's probably the best available job right now. And if Florida comes open, Florida State, I mean, who knows? Like after such a hot start for Florida State, but if they lose more, after starting the season 3-0, does Florida State open up? I still think Penn State probably was the best job, but who wants it? Who wants to go over there and have to play Ohio State, have to play Oregon every single year and not be able to, realistically always win those? And so I think that Manny Diaz is a good name. It's not the splash name. He's the guy that I think could, replace James Franklin in Penn State. Something new that I want to kind of introduce within this going forward is my top 10, a weekly top 10, at least an update with it, and as teams win, as teams lose. And I've been kind of making this my own the last few weeks. Obviously, I haven't posted it. And so this is going to be my top 10. We don't have to do the same top 10 every week. As it gets adjusted, it will, we'll fill in the dots. But there was a lot of shakeup after this last week. I'm going to give you my almost and then 10 down and a few little thoughts about each one. But my almost is LSU and Georgia. There's nothing that Georgia's done this year that I love. I really don't love anything they've done. I don't think they deserve to win at Auburn last week. And so the fact that, they got a big matchup this week, which we'll get into in a second. Georgia's on my outside, and LSU. Like at the beginning of the year, I said LSU was finally going to have a good defense. I said defense was going to be priority. It has been, and now the offense looks like trash. They need to win some games going forward. They need to put some points on to convince people. 10 is Oklahoma. I know they lost to Texas. I know Texas looked better than them. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. John Mateer came back early from the hand injury. John Mateer played awful with a hand injury. They are on the outside. It's like a fringe, right above Georgia. That's my number 10 team, but I like Oklahoma a lot. I still think they go in a lot of games, and I think that if Mateer was healthy and not rush back, and Texas hadn't come off some embarrassing loss, and we had to play with their hair on fire, Oklahoma would have, should have, and could have won that game. 9 is Tennessee. I like Tennessee's offense a lot. I think that Tennessee's really, really good. They have an elimination game this week against Bama, which we'll talk about soon. 8 is Texas Tech. I don't know how good Texas Tech really is. Like I'll admit that when it comes to watching Texas Tech, I haven't seen enough. I haven't watched any to really be able to tell you. But when you have that 0 by your record and you're putting up points the way they have, winning games the way that they have, you're good in my book. And right now they are at 8. I do have Oregon above them at 7. Tough loss versus Indiana. Versus a really, really, really good team in Indiana. Oregon's still going to win a lot of games. They've impressed me more than what I thought they were at the beginning. And the schedule, other than USC kind of at the end, doesn't really challenge them too much. And they have an opportunity to, make the playoff, definitely, and compete and win some games. 6 is A&M. A&M has beat the teams in front of them. They beat them sound. They beat them, beat them down. I thought Florida had a chance last week to play well with them, to kind of upset them maybe, and A&M gave them no opportunities. 5 is Bama. Ever since that loss to Florida State, they are a different team. They have a big matchup this week against Tennessee to really show how good they are, or if it's been a fluke so far. 4 is Ole Miss. Again, I don't know how great Ole Miss really is. When Ole Miss plays well, they look good. When they play down the competition, they kind of look down. I think Ole Miss has all the talent to be a top 5 team, a top 4 team, but until Lane Kiffin proves me otherwise, like it's fringe and they could drop at any point. 3 is Miami. Miami's done a lot of really good. Carson Beck looks like Carson Beck 2 years ago. I like Miami a lot. I think that they're going to win the ACC or at least be in the ACC championship without a doubt. They just haven't looked good as these two, and that's 2 Indiana. Indiana has just blown the doors off Illinois, a really, really good Illinois team, and then going to Autzen last week, beating down Oregon, throwing the pick six, a play that like feels like it should take all momentum away from small little Indiana. They go in there, they win that game, they beat the Ducks at their place. Indiana's number 2 in my book, and the one is Ohio State. They take care of business every single week. They're playing slow. They're taking what you give them, and you can't stop it. Like you can take away the deep threats, and they'll just dink and dunk, dink and dunk, dink and dunk. You give them any opportunity to throw it deep, and they will. Defensively, it's one of the best units I've ever seen. I still every week just cannot believe that this defense is better than last year's defense. It's really insane. The thing about doing a top 10 list, allows me to kind of like recap the big games from last week, or the big teams, what they've done, without having to kind of go through every single game. And I like that. And so kind of my goal of taking 2 weeks off also was kind of finding like what's the balance of things going forward. How do we do this and make it the best podcast that I absolutely can? And going through every single game from that to recap it, and then picking new games and doing the same with the NFL, it just doesn't work. And so I'm a big list guy. I like lists. I like putting things in order from how I like it, from least to most. And I would specifically do top 10 lists every single week if it was feasible, with any realm of anything. NBA players, college football teams, favorite sports memories, favorite Drake albums, favorite food, favorite people that I've talked to in my entire life, anything like that. I will give you a list for it. If you ask for it, it's just a matter of doing that list. And so doing the top 10 list kind of gives me a way, like I said, to talk about the biggest games from last week, and then going forward, just being able to focus on like games of the week, ranked on ranked matchups, ones that I think like could be big upsets. If it's a big Friday night game, a Thursday night game, something like that, being able to focus on that. And so going forward, that's what that plan is. And then maybe an upset alert, watch out. And I'm always going to pick an Ohio State game because I'm a biased Ohio State fan who I just want to pick Ohio State and see how well and accurate I can be with that. So here we are with our games of the week for the third Saturday in October, which means that we are going to get a big Tennessee at Bama game the third Saturday in October, being at Bama. Bama is 7.5-point favorites. They've won 10 straight at home versus Tennessee. They're both really good teams, and this is an elimination game for both of them. Like I really think that you have 2 losses. It's just going to get to a point where you're playing an SEC team at the end that needs to get one more. And because you have that second one, you're fighting for so much more than what they might, be. They're gonna put it away at that point. Either one is gonna have to have a third. And going into this, they're gonna get a second. And so it's a really tough game being at home for Bama. I think it's high scoring, and I think Bama finds a way to win the third Saturday in October versus Tennessee. Give me a Friday night game, Louisville to Miami. If this was at Louisville, I'd pick the upset. I really would. Miller Moss is throwing the ball really well. 13.5, though, is a lot for Miami to cover. I think Friday night, you're going to get a really good effort from Louisville. And again, I really do think Miami is really good. I think Miami is going to win a lot of games. I think Miami wins this. I just think Friday night, it's closer than what the money's pick or what the points are giving them. Think about this. 10 LSU at 17 Vandy. Vandy's a 2.5-point favorite. It is the first time that Vandy's been favored over a top 10 team since the FBS and FCS split. That was like in the 1970s, okay? Doesn't mean that Vandy is great. I think LSU wins, and I think they finally get some offensive going. This is a 31-24 type of game. I think LSU gets it done at Vanderbilt. Washington at Michigan. First off, how is Washington unranked? I mean, it is unreal. It is unreal. It is almost unfair to Washington. Your one loss is at home to the number 1 team in the country, and you are unranked. If that was in the SEC team, if their one loss was to Georgia or Ole Miss, and it was at third place like that, they would be in the top 15. I mean, it is unfair to Washington. That quarterback is really, really good. They are a good, fun team. They win games. Michigan 6.5-point favorites. Bryce Underwood, more like underwhelming. I did not play great last week against USC. I think that Washington, even though Michigan's favorite by 6.5, Washington goes into Michigan, gets that win, gets it done. Number 5, Ole Miss, heading to number 9, Georgia. Again, I said with Georgia, I just don't know how much of a believer I really am. I don't think they deserved to win that last week versus Auburn. I think that game got handed to Georgia. Auburn had a touchdown. That ball is clearly over the line before they caused a fumble. For them to not give them those points, not make it 17-0 before going into halftime, giving Georgia some life, find a way to get some points on the board and win that game, unfair. I also don't know if I trust Lane Kiffin. He doesn't win those big ones that he absolutely should. And this is one that he absolutely should. Georgia's favored by 8.5. It's in Athens, so I get them being the favorite, but 8.5 is a lot. Georgia wins it. I can't convince myself why they should win it. I'm rooting for Ole Miss. Georgia really doesn't deserve it. Screw it. Trinidad Shambles, Lacey, they're going to get it done. They're going to go into Georgia. Ole Miss gets the big time win that they finally need. Send Georgia packing. They don't belong in the playoff. They don't deserve to be in the playoff. They're not that good of a team. Georgia's going to fall out of the top 10 after this one. 20 USC at 13 Notre Dame. Another one that feels like an elimination game. It really is. Like, no matter how you spin it. Like, USC has Oregon at the end of the season. Obviously, UCLA could go either way, especially with how UCLA has been playing recently. I think that Notre Dame is really good. Their 2 losses are two really good teams by what? A combined 2 or 3 points. My head says Notre Dame, but I was so impressed with USC with their win last week against Michigan. I think they're playing really well. I think Maeva is really, really good. I think that team, that offense, it just moves well. It's a Lincoln Riley offense, and I think the defense is good enough to contain that, really good Notre Dame passing attack, the really good run game that they have. It's not as physical as what Michigan was. And the fact that it is not that way, I think USC will handle it just like they did last week. And I think USC goes into South Bend and they win that game. Another great game, the Holy War. Holy crap, like another great fun, scenic game, beautiful type of environment. It's going to be a night game at BYU, 23 Utah, undefeated 15 BYU. Utah's 3.5-point favorites. I think they go into BYU, and I think they beat them in the Holy War. My upset alert goes to Auburn. My upset alert goes to Missouri over Auburn. Auburn, they deserve to win last week versus Georgia. Missouri coming off a tough loss to Bama where they had a chance for an onside kick at the end. Didn't get it. I think Auburn needs the conference win. They upset Missouri at home and give Hugh Freeze and Auburn a big win that they deserve. Watch out for 7 Texas Tech at Arizona State. Tech is 9.5-point favorites. Again, I don't know. I really don't know how good this Texas Tech team is, and I know that Arizona State can be really good. If Sam Leavitt plays, Arizona State can win that one. I'm not calling it. I'm just saying watch out for it. Also, watch out for Texas at Kentucky. Texas got themselves ranked again. They're 21 now. They're going to Kentucky. They're 12.5-point favorites. SEC games at night. It's like a Big Ten game at night. When you're the big team and you go somewhere else at night, I'm just saying, watch out for it. My lock of the week, Georgia Tech going to Duke and winning. They're giving Duke 1.5 points. I think Tech Tebow is so good. I love Brett Key in that offense. Georgia Tech keeps winning. Georgia Tech's going to find themselves in the ACC championship against Miami. I really believe that. I think Georgia Tech's really good. Georgia Tech is going to beat Duke. That is my lock of the week. And then OSU at Wisconsin. Unfortunately, this might be the game that breaks Fickle. After this win, I think OSU's like, 24.5, 23.5. I think they cover. I think that, I think the defense is just going to strangle Wisconsin's offense. And I think that Sayin and Smith and Bo Jackson and Carnell Tate, they're just going to go out there. They're going to have a field day. It's going to get ugly at Madison, Wisconsin. 3:30 game. If it was a night game, I could give it a little bit, but being a 3:30 game, I really think this is how it goes, and I think that after this game, Fickle might be done. As much as I love lists, the only thing I love a little bit less than lists is tiers, and I think the NFL is really good and really easy to tier, and so NFL every week now we're going to tier our teams by Super Bowl contenders, playoff locks, could win games, close, the middle, and then the bottom, and so. Every week now, we'll update those tiers, talk about the games within those tiers, and then just pick some of our favorite games going forward. And again, I will probably always pick a Steelers game and a Browns game because, again, I'm a biased Steelers fan who loves to watch the Browns lose. And so these are my top tiers for my favorite games or my favorite teams. So tier 1 for our NFL is our Super Bowl contenders. I really think that it's the Eagles, Lions, Bucks, for my NFC and the Bills and the Chiefs. I know Buffalo had two bad losses on primetime, versus the Pats, and then last night versus the Falcons, a game that they really looked underwhelming. And I think Atlanta is playing really well on offense the last few weeks, other than their loss to the Panthers, who are also kind of on the up. I still believe in Buffalo. I still believe in the Chiefs. They had a big win last week against the Lions, a much needed win. And I think all those teams are really, when it comes to playing each other, and we're going to get Lions Bucks this week, like the big teams are going to take care of each other. They're going to split them in some capacity. I still think the Eagles, they're getting handed wins with their ability to run the tush push. They are explosive in offense. The defense is still really good. They're going to win enough games. They're coming off a Super Bowl victory. They're better than what I thought they were going to be. Again, maybe I was just an angry Eagles hater, but I still think that they are Super Bowl contenders. My playoff locks and could win some games. Steelers, Seahawks, Colts, Pats, Rams, Packers. All those teams, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to have opportunities to upset one of those Super Bowl contender teams, make it to the second, even the third round. Like I could see happening. And the Steelers, the offense is so bad at times, and it's so good at others. The Seahawks, JSN is really, really, really good. I think we all saw that when he was at Ohio State. It took a few years for it to hit in the NFL, but they got a good run game with Charbonnet, with Kenneth Walker, and there's good depth at receiver that makes that whole team dangerous. The Colts, I cannot believe how good the Colts are. I mean, really, every week they're just putting up points. They play good defense. They take care of games that they should. They have a big one this week that we'll talk about shortly. The Pats have really impressed me. Obviously, we know Variable's a good coach. For him to go in year one and turn that Pats team around with not a lot of talent on offense, like with nobody that's great, a really good, solid group. The Rams and the Packers both can put up a lot of points. Both play good defense. Both have some explosiveness to them. Both of those teams, I called it at the beginning of the season to be pretty good. More higher on the Rams than the Packers, but Packers have impressed me so far. My close, like my middle of the tier, Chargers, Broncos, Niners, Jags. Chargers and Broncos, their biggest problem is they play in the AFC West with the Chiefs. Are they just going to lose too many games that keeps them on the outside? The Niners have won games that I didn't think they were going to win. And they keep finding ways to be competitive games, pulling ones out. And with all the injuries that they have, the Niners are still pretty good. The Jags are another team that they're close. They're getting there. They're getting better every week. Trevor Lawrence looks like the Trevor Lawrence that you expected him to be coming out of Clemson. He's finally really hit that stage of being really good. My middle teams, like these are teams on any night or any Sunday could beat any of those teams above them and lose to any of the teams below them. That's the Cowboys, the Panthers, the Texans, the Vikings, the Bears, the Commanders, the Falcons, the Giants. The Commanders were I was high on early on. It's just the injuries have hurt them. Jaden Daniels hasn't played so far like he was expected to. The Vikings, it's up and down. It's up and down. It's up and down. You really don't know what you're going to get with them. The Bears started low, and they've played well these last few weeks. Caleb Williams, again, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, is finally looking like what you expected him to. That's the Ben Johnson offense for you. Can they stop teams consistently enough to win games? The Texans, like, who knows what you're going to get with C.J. Stroud. Like, I could see him throwing for 300 and 3 touchdowns in a game or 79 and 2 picks. Like, it's really that. It's such a roller coaster week by week with him. The Cowboys are going to put up points. They're also going to let a bunch of points happen. The Giants, that offense, if you're a Giants fan, you feel really, really good about the next few years with Jackson Dart, with Scatterboo, with Malik Neighbors, with the defense that you have. I think that Brian Dable is a good coach. I think you should keep him after the season and give him one full season with all those guys healthy to see if they can go win, compete in the NFC East, make the playoffs next year. The bottom, I mean, I just look at these bottom teams, the Cardinals, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Ravens. Whoever thought that we'd see the Ravens at the bottom of this list? But injuries have just killed them. The defense is really, really bad. Even when Lamar comes back, they will win games. The run game will get going. It just doesn't feel like receiver-wise anybody's just that explosive. The defense is going to let everybody score on them. The Ravens are not going to be a bottom 5 team. They're going to win games at the end, but they're going to find themselves in the middle, not at the bottom. But right now they are. They are a doormat right now until Lamar gets back. The Titans, the Bengals, the Raiders, all three teams that, again, will beat teams on the bottom. I just don't see them really competing consistently with teams in the middle and above them. And then the absolute bottom, besides the Jets, is the Browns. Sorry, Browns fans. It's just going to get more and more ugly for you. It's like all they care about right now is 2029 with your new stadium. I mean, it just doesn't feel like anything that was done Sunday against the Steelers, who again, our offense can be so atrocious, and you just let them kind of do what they need to at times. It's been sad times for Browns fans for a long time. It's going to continue to be a sad time for Browns fans, and I'm sorry, Browns fans, that you guys have to deal with that. Last segment for this week. Last segment for this episode that we're going to focus on just before we work our way out. Okay, our games of the week in the NFL. NFL Week 7 already. I mean, we're moving through the season quickly. So these are my favorite games of the week. Monday Night Football game, Bucs at the Lions. Two teams in that Super Bowl contender list that feel like, hey, we have a big one in front of us. We need to win it. It is a fun game with two great offenses. Two offenses that just feature just great players all the way around. Noah Igbokwe hurts the Bucs. He has been the heart and soul of that offense through these first few weeks. Give me the Saint, I almost said the same. Give me the Lions to beat the Bucs at home. Monday Night Football, high scoring game. The Lions pull away at the end, make it maybe look bigger than it was. A Sunday Night Football game that a few weeks ago I would have been like, turn this off. But Falcons and Niners. The Falcons, like I said earlier, have really impressed me. The 49ers are winning games without Purdy, without Kittle. They're competing in all these games. And obviously it shows that Purdy's a system quarterback. Mac Jones has done just fine. He's played really well. Falcons win again on prime time, though. I really like their offense. I like Bijan. I like Penix. When those guys are hitting, Drake London has put his name as one of the top receivers in the league. Give me the Falcons Sunday Night Football. Colts Chargers, again, both teams kind of feel like they need this one. Like, it's a big game. It's not just one of the bottom feeders. It's not just one of those middle teams. Those are both two really good football teams that want to make the playoffs. The Chargers have been decimated at the running back position, and they found a guy last week, vital to come in and keep it going. But the Colts are really good. They play good defense, and they are explosive in offense. Jonathan Taylor right now is the best running back in the NFL. Like, this year, he has shown it consistently, week in, week out. He's doing it on the ground. He's doing it through the air. He scores when they need him to. He's the heart and soul of it. And Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, is playing really, really great football. The Colts go to LA. They get it done. And then, of course, I'm going to pick Steelers-Bengals. Thursday night football rivalry. The Bengals are really bad. It's going to be close, though. They're going to fight hard. Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, 41 years old, 40 years old. I mean, it's a retirement home game. And the Bengals, because of that, are going to play really hard. They're going to play really good. Jamar Chase is going to play really well. The defense is going to make enough big plays, sack the quarterback, give you, really good field position. They're going to settle on field goals. And the Steelers are going to win in Steeler fashion. And it's going to come down to the last minute. They're probably going to need a stop, and they're going to, win by 3 or win by 7, because that's what they do every week, other than against the Browns, where that's one where you can kind of, okay, in the fourth quarter, I feel like this is done. And then the trash of the week is the Dolphins at the Browns. Browns fans, I'm sorry. Dolphins fans, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you guys have to watch this game. This just feels like a coach is getting fired after it. Fortunately for Browns fans, or maybe unfortunately, I think you do get the win. I think that you keep Stefanski some more. Why are you getting the win? Because I just don't trust the Dolphins enough either. Being at home for Cleveland, I know you guys are going to be there. You're going to be rooting for your team. You always do. But I just think that it's just a really bad game that can end up being really fun. Give me the Browns winning that one at home. And then I think that's the end of Mike McDaniel in Miami for the Dolphins. All that in under 30 minutes. Now, going past the 30-minute mark a little bit as we finish this one up. But, I think this is it's a good format. I feel good. I like doing this. But at the same time, too, over the last 2 weeks, it hasn't just been a break doing nothing. I've got some. I'm really trying to get some good stuff. Some content that I really think is worth your time and content that I'm happy and proud of. And that includes some guests that I am working on, just fitting into the mold of how does it work with the guests. But that is part of the plan. And then the history series, very, very, very soon. I have like 3 episodes that I'm ready to record, ready to get done. Kelly is going to get my logo for me. And once that is done, it is going to be kind of its own separate show within the realm of what I do. But some really fun sports history that I want to do consistently, once every other week, once every 3 weeks, once a month if it needs to be. But just good stories, 15 to 30 minutes long about sports history. If you like any type of history and you love, learning about sports and just stories from before, and why things are the way they are, how things work in the NFL, all those things. That's a lot of stuff that I want to do going forward. So please, 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 please just support as we do that. Other than that, I am, again, very sorry for the 2 weeks off. If you guys, the people that I do have a few, high school kids, high school athletes that come up to me and that I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate anybody that listens. And so to not do it consistently, I know doesn't grow anything. So how can I make that better? I'm just trying to continue to figure that out. So thank you for your support. Thanks for giving this a listen to. Again, share it with somebody who loves football. Leave a review, give a like, all those nice, fun things. And like Mike Tomlin always says, the standard is a standard. We're just trying to find that standard. We're going to reach that standard, and then we're going to surpass that standard and set a new standard.